from ACG. And it's especially a great honor to accept an award from an organization that is really a very progressive and committed business organization, because PCB at its very core is about using the tools of business to improve the lives of people in lower income communities and less fortunate circumstances. Before I go on though, I also just want to acknowledge Helen Russell, who you're going to hear from in a couple minutes, the co-founder of Equator Estates Coffee, who has actually worked, as she said to me, well, I worked with you guys about $5 million in revenue ago. And that really does show the impact that PCB has. I think it was $5 million in revenue ago and maybe 10 employees or 15 employees ago. So anyway, Pacific Community Ventures is about building responsible small businesses to create jobs and economic opportunity in low-income communities. And we fulfill that mission through 3 core nonprofit activities, and then we have an affiliated for-profit. So the 3 core nonprofit activities, the first is business advising, which we're going to feature today, and I'm going to introduce you to a volunteer business advisor and a company who has benefited from the input of that and working with a business advisor, and who's added jobs and revenue and so forth as part of working with PCB. And basically business advising, the quickest way to explain it is most of you are probably familiar with the Nobel-winning Doctors Without Borders. So PCB business advising is just business people within borders. Instead of being a doctor going to Africa to vaccinate children, we ask you to stay here in California and work with entrepreneurs and small business owners who are creating jobs in low-income communities and help them build those businesses and create those jobs. We are adding a second program beginning in 2012. We were chosen by the SBA to pilot a new lending program that is larger than microfinance but smaller than traditional bankable finance. And so we'll be adding a lending component in 2012, which will enable us to have greater impact on more companies, or certainly deeper and greater impact on the companies that we advise, because we'll be able to provide some debt capital to them. And the third nonprofit program is called Insight, and it is a public policy and advocacy program that's really about systemic change. So we're working on the ground to create jobs in California right now, but we're also working with national thought leaders and policymakers in Sacramento and Washington about the policies that drive capital to low-income communities, and showcasing that you can invest in low-income communities and make a difference and a profit at the same time. And finally, we do have, PCB, as I said, we use every tool available tool of business available to make a difference. And one of those tools is a for-profit business headed by Eduardo Rayo, who's sitting right there. Eduardo heads the for-profit Pacific Community Management that actually is a manager of equity funds that invests in small businesses to create jobs and financial return for its investors. So that's sort of the whole picture of the totality of PCB. And with that, I thought we would showcase business advising today, and I would like to invite Sanjay Sinha and Greg Long to join me up on the panel. So on my left, your right, is Sanjay Sinha, who has been a volunteer business advisor for 5 years, has worked with numerous companies, but is currently working with the gentleman on my right, Greg Long, who is a co-founder of Gama-Go. And those of you who don't know, Gama-Go is located over in Soma, like 8th and Folsom. 8th and Folsom. And basically, their motto, there's clever, practical, and original. Gama-Go is a consumer giftware, retail, and wholesale business, and everything truly is clever, practical, and original. Like almost nothing's more than $20. You should all go over there to stuff the stockings of the people that you care about at Christmas. The spatula that's shaped like a guitar, the Buddha butter dish?
Buddha butter.
Yeah, so you get the idea. And Greg came to PCB about 2 years ago, 3 employees ago, and he was not profitable. And now I'm just going to ask them I am going to ask them to maybe tell a little bit more about their story and sort of the what's happened as a result of each of their coming to PCB. And I should also note that Sanjay is a relationship manager at California Bank and Trust, to give a little pump for the, we believe in business. We give our business advisors opportunities to do business, but we also milk them for help. But, we get that, there's a two-way street here. So, Sanjay, why don't we just start with you? And, you worked with companies before you worked with Greg. Just tell people a little bit. We have a lot of prospective business advisors in the room. Why are you a business advisor? What does it do for you? Why would you encourage people to be a business advisor?
Sure. I got involved about 5 years ago, and it's going to sound like a cliche, but I wanted to give something back. And but I wanted to make sure that my passion, to give something back, was matched with my skill set. And so business advising sounded good because I could work on projects, I could work with companies, and I could actually help them solve the challenges they're facing. So, first company was great, but what I want to talk about is why I've stayed with PCB. It's been 5 years. It's the second longest pro bono commitment that I've ever made. And I've stayed here because they have made giving fun. Fun in the sense that you are involved with specific projects. You know what you're supposed to do, and then you know how your work is going to be measured. So you see the actual impact of your work. And it's very structured, and through different tools they have made it real and they have made it measurable. So if you want to do this, and if you want a very structured environment and a fun environment, I encourage you to do it.
Okay, so let's get a little more specific. Greg, tell us a little bit about where was Gama-Go in 2009, how did you learn about PCB, and sort of take us forward about how the impact that it's had on your business and your ability to hire, because in the end, we're about creating jobs.
Absolutely. So my business is 10 years old. 2 years ago, we were primarily focused on apparel and accessories. It was a challenging end of the consumer space to be in. There's a lot of ease of entry there, and there's huge big name brands and a lot of competition. Additionally, I'm from an art background, and my business partner and co-founder is from a music background, and neither of us are from a business background. So for about 8 years, we sort of merrily went along selling t-shirts to lots of boutiques around the country, maybe 150 boutiques. And we had capped out at about $1.5 million wholesale sales a year. And we had no problem. For 8 years, we basically were floating along on credit cards and this, that, and the other, sort of barely staying tenable. We had 9 employees, but 2 of them were part-time. And we really had come to a crossroads. The economy wasn't doing so hot 2 years ago, and it was a time for us to really kind of look around and say, hey, we need to really think about what we want to be doing here if we're going to keep Gama-Go going. Chris and I were very interested in making some inroads into the gift market. It was an area that we had a lot of experience in. Chris's father came from that market, and we both had worked at a giftware company prior to Gama-Go. But we didn't really know how to quite launch into it. And so one of the things that I was doing was looking for advice and help. I looked around on the internet, asked friends, and at some point came across PCB. And I did a bunch of digging and a bunch of asking, and then I reached out to them and said, hey, you know what? We're a neat little company here in San Francisco. I think we got a lot of potential. We got a lot of talent, a lot of passionate people working here, but we really need some help. We don't know how to be profitable. We don't know what's holding us back. We don't even know what the questions are that we should be asking. And so they quickly said, sure, you sound pretty good. They looked at our website, and we did some initial phone consultations to figure out really what was the best way to go forward. And